Okay, so quick update on the Dino robot project. I'm canceling it. And here's why. Um, the whole premise behind it was to try to build something quick and dirty. Um, Dirty in the sense of taking shortcuts, like allowing for use of Metal Gear motors, which goes against my policy generally. And that would then simplify the electronics portion and also using a more simplified skeleton and generally just trying to take a lot more shortcuts and make something faster in order to move on to the AI phase quicker and in order to just gain more experience and gain something functional quicker. Kind of like a rush job mini project side quest. But I've decided that really goes against my commitment to excellence in terms of workmanship, my commitment to not using noisy gear motors, but instead making the actuation very quiet. And it goes against my desire to raise the bar in humanoid robotics away from mech robots and away from noisy robots into robots that pass for human in appearance and are quiet in operation. And then with world class AI on top of that, to have something that can be more so passing for human to the extent possible, um, with very realistic silicone skin. So I really want to raise the bar in a lot of these areas, and this goes against that. I guess the idea of a practice project leading me to perhaps a better conclusion in the serious longer term projects, it kind of makes sense, but it's also pulling my time away from the longer term, more serious robotics projects. And I think that's not prudent. Though I would surely learn some stuff, I'd rather just learn as I go on the real project, the dream project, the final project. Because what happens if I end up spending like months or years working on this side quest and that placeholder project becomes my legacy because I die before I ever get around to the actual silent pulley based robots. And so I just made another loud, noisy Metal Gear based robot of lower quality that was rushed, and that's all I ended up getting finished. And then I just died. That would suck. So I would much rather go for my ideal robot, do it right the first time, go big or go home, and skip all the little practice projects. I've had the policy of skipping the practice robots from the beginning. I figured, hey, I can read the instructables of how to make a beginner's robot. I can learn about the robot mouse, the robot crab, the little hexapods, the little quadcopters. I've learned about countless robots from James Bruton's dogs to Colin Furr's mech stuff. I've just watched a million robot videos and projects. I've learned tons. And in my view, if you've seen a bunch of robots built, you've looked at the steps involved, you get the gist. You don't have to make it if you've seen it made. You don't have to make it. Yeah, there's some benefit to hands on. Maybe you pick up little things that weren't picked up in the video. Maybe. But if you watch enough videos, there's going to be enough redundancy that I think most of the details actually will be covered. And so I just am not buying that I would be missing out on a ton by not building all these smaller projects. I think that you can learn enough through research and watching other people's projects from start to finish and looking at all the details. You can learn enough then to build something much more advanced right off the jump. So my first robot is going to be world class, state of the art, everything. And so I'm going back to that vision and that plan, which I've had for many years, and I'm just scrapping the Dinobot idea. Now, that's not to say I'm going to throw away the progress of the Dinobot. I did put together that skeleton setup, or rather, I extracted the skeleton, and I did attach the hand to the skeleton, and I did figure out a lot of ways like how to loosen the hinges of the skeleton so that it's no longer posable, but it's not free moving at each joint. I did figure out a lot of stuff. I did make a lot of progress, and I do think that type of skeleton can be very useful. However, the way I'm seeing that now is I just build the Abel arm. Abel builds the rest of his own body once he's got an arm and a head, and then he builds Adam, and then Abel and Adam build Dinah and Eve, and that's when Dinah gets finished. When Abel and Adam build Dinah and Eve. So my order, it needs to stay consistent. I'm choosing to keep things the order they've been for years. So I still like the idea of having a robot named Dinah as a fourth robot. So I would have two male robots, two female for a nice variety. And I think that's sufficient. Um, but really, in the event that I were to die before finishing more than one robot, if I just had to pick a single robot, I'd rather have it be Able. I'd rather have a male robot as my only robot than have a female robot as my first and only robot. I'd rather have a male one for many reasons. So, although I don't have an issue with having a female robot, I prefer to have a male one if it's the only one I get to have. And one reason for that, I think, is a lot of people, if they see a man build a female robot, they automatically assume it's a sex bot, which I don't like, but that's an automatic tendency for people to assume that. None of my robots are intended to be that type of robot. And so having my first robot be a male robot, I think at least tends to diffuse that particular snap judgment that people automatically assume, which is annoying. Um, Now, if your second, third, fourth, or fifth robot is a female, then it's like, well, you're just having variety. You're making a bunch of different types of robots and with different genders, different looks, whatever. But if you only have one robot and that's an attractive female robot, particularly, then it's like open and shut case. People are going to just assume it's a sexual robot, which it's not meant to be. So that's one of the big reasons. But I just think a male robot is slightly cooler than a female robot too, as far as just cool factor. I don't know. That's just more my style. So, anyways, that's the little update I wanted to give.